Hey everyone, I'm here with my buddy Rick. Rick, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. Looking at cards.
Are you looking
Spending
at
the
some cards
afternoon
right
looking
now?
at cards. I was cleaning up my room here when you asked if you want to go live, so I'm gonna have to wait. My card room. I don't know about you. My desk, it's filled with whatever, and then once in a while I'll clean it. I guess
Yeah.
just like your wife when you're right before your wife gets home, right? You kind of shuffle through all that stuff and figure it out.
Yeah, so I have this table and then I have another table and then I have another table where I like reholder cards and when I get new cards, switch them out and stuff. I have a nice light over there and all my holders and that they all just get loaded up. Like I have to come every once in a while and just, clean the whole place. That
Yeah.
I had it all nice and neat like a week ago, and that's gone out the window. Everything's a mess again. I did a recording with Mike Junkwax Hero last night, and I had pulled out all these cards. I didn't even show all the ones I pulled out. So now I have boxes everywhere, cards everywhere. I got to put them all back, and it takes up some of my workspace. So I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, I
But
never do it right. I never do it right afterwards. So I do a video, and I did a video on photos, and I had to pick. I set them down on the ground here. 2 days later, I'm putting them away, or I'm whatever live stream. I'm fiddling with cards, and I just leave them there, and I'll get to them sometime, and that
I
kind
do
of
the
thing.
same thing. It's like I'm done with the video, so I want to hurry up and go
Yeah,
edit it or publish it or whatever. And I get up and leave, and I just leave the cards. And I may or
yeah,
may not come back immediately and put them away. Usually not.
exactly,
And,
exactly.
when I take them out, I also love to look at them. Like I am just surrounded by awesome cards right now. This is too much fun. Too much fun.
I know, I
So
know, man.
I we are rooming together at the National. You got a room, and the other half wasn't being used. So I was fortunate enough to get it, like I did last time in Chicago. We had a blast.
We
Is there
did,
anything
we
you're
did.
anything in particular you're targeting this year?
Well, as you know, I've been working on putting cards in the binders to see
Yeah.
actually what I have. And I'm actually going to go old school. And, what I usually do is I show up, I have a one track mind. The first day, I'm combing really quick through the aisles, the vintage aisles, to anything that just clicks with me that I need to pick up, something rare that and then after that it's BSing with everyone and so forth. But I think this year I might cruise through the aisles, get a gist of what's going on, but I'm going to go and fill up these binders I have with Hall of Famers I'm missing over the 50s and 60s that I don't have, that are raw. Basically, I might have it graded, but I want to have a card to fill the binder with raw, all Hall of Famers and Giants, the
Well,
team
that's different
this
for
year.
you. That's an awesome, fun thing to do.
Yeah, yeah. I'm even
Uh,
threatening to like I purchased. Let's see here. I have this early win here, right here, and I'm thinking of snapping it out and putting my binder.
yeah, I
You know what
know
I
there are a lot
mean?
of guys that do that. I've been snapping cards out lately.
So just looks good. Doesn't take up as much space. So I have here. I'll show you. I just pulled out these out of my binder. And all Hall of Famers or Giants.
Yeah, I mean, if you're
Some
if you're
have
putting
duplicate.
binders together, graded cards just getting away, slabs
Yeah,
just getting
yeah.
away.
So
I was
even
on a
if I
binder
have,
kick a
let's
few
say,
weeks ago.
yeah, let's say
Go ahead.
I have a Whitey Ford, okay, and that's graded. Well, I'll go to the National. I have a list. I'll buy a Whitey Ford that's raw, put it in the binder, so I have all the Hall of
so, you,
Famers. Yeah, I don't know.
so you're gonna have two of
So
everything.
two of everything. So it looks good. And then, so I'm gonna have a list. I never have a list. Ever I tease people, like, I need a list for it. I just show up. I find something I really want. But I think this year, if I'm missing a Hall of Famer, I'm gonna be looking for it. that's wrong.
Yeah, I think I was thinking about this the other day when I heard somebody talking about having a list that they have to take to the national. I think when I was younger and there were, discovering new cards, as I would discover them, I would write them down. And I had this notebook and it had a whole list of like gold cards for me. And I was looking through it a couple of years ago. I made a video where I went through it like on video because I hadn't looked at it in years. And it was funny to see all the players I had checked off, all the cards I had checked off that I had once put on a list. But I'm the same way with you. At this point in my collecting, I don't need a list. I know off the top of my head, what cards I would want to target. But the way I buy is like I try to buy things I haven't seen before, or if there's that
Sure.
rare card, that I stumble on, I've been looking for and I never see one. Those kinds of things. So I don't need a list either. But
Yeah, but I
do
mean, if
you
you're
don't you
for
need a list
yourself,
if you're trying to fill binders though?
well, let's say I need a list of, like, say I need a Whitey Ford 19 whatever 62 Whitey Ford or something like that. Okay, in my mind, I don't think that way, so I'm going to have to write it down this year. I'll have a list of cards that
Yeah.
I'll try to find, because even right now, I'll have a card and I'll buy another one. And I already had that card.
Right.
I mean, that type of thing. You see so many cards, and I'm going, "What did I buy that card? I already have that card." So I'll come up with some kind of list, and that this might all, I might spend 10 minutes. My back's hurting me, leaning over, scrolling through, you know, raw cards, and I'm like, "Oh, screw this," But that's my
So
goal. That's my,
about how many are you going after, or do you need?
I probably need, like I was mentioning, the 57s. I need those. I need the 55s. I'm sorry. I need those Hall of Fame umpires,
Yeah.
and the 55 Bowman. So I'll I'll write those down, for instance, because I don't know how many home. There's like four of them, maybe three or four Hall of Famers. Jocko, and I don't know. Then you see, I'm already forgetting the names, but there's four or five. There's
I
only
don't
four or
know all
five
their
Hall of
names either.
Famers, and so I'll write those down. I
Yeah.
need the mantle. I need a mantle raw. Then I'll complete that Hall of Fame run, the 55 Bowman. So I'll write
Now,
that
now,
down.
now, what will you do if you don't find one raw? Would you buy one and crack it?
See, on that, I might not. I don't know. if
It's
it's
for
but
for for me. It's like if it's a 1.5 or a 2, who cares if it's in a holder or
yeah,
not?
yeah. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Even if it's an authentic or a one, I want to just complete it. I'm not a
Yeah,
mantle collector. I don't need a 4 or 5 and spend $1,000 on a 55 Bowman, because most of these cards I've had since I was, a teenager, a kid. Over the years, they're off center. They're
that's
probably
a
all
fun
my
way to
whole.
collect, man. I love
Yeah,
going
I
through
mean,
my childhood cards.
they're probably all from very good to excellent mint. Excellent five, from 1 to 5 in grade, for 50 cards. 60s, it might be up to like a 7, that type of thing. But in the 50s, I I didn't had put them in top loaders. They're just whatever.
Yeah,
So
you
I
should
don't
do
know.
a video
So
where you
that's
show all those and tell us all how terrible they are.
I know. I'm thinking about it. I showed you a few. I mean, it just brings back, everyone, and even me, because I watch these videos or cards. Just, and then you see what they actually are supposed to look like when you collected them, 40, 50 years ago. And it doesn't really bother me. It really doesn't. I showed you that
It
crease, that
doesn't.
one.
It doesn't bother me either. I am not into the condition as much as everybody else. It's funny that you said what you said because I remember when I first started to see, when I was young and I would go to school or whatever, and somebody would have a sharper card than mine because we were flipping them and doing all kind of
Yeah.
things. And they would have a sharp version, and I'd be like, "Oh man, I forgot what mine looked like." It looks totally different. That crisp out of the pack.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't, I don't know. I don't even look at them that way, to be honest with you.
I don't
If they
either.
were in a
I look at the image. Like I look at the card,
Yeah,
and I think people look at cards differently. Like I think nowadays people are looking at the corners and the centering or
yeah,
whatever. Like the first thing my eyes are drawn to is just the image. Like I just look at the
yeah,
image, and then a little bit later, I will maybe notice the corners or the centering, unless it's totally off center and that draws your eyes. You can't help it. But yeah, that's the thing. So I had all these cards from my childhood and everything, and they just look so amazing to me. And just looking at the image, and when everybody started to scrutinize cards, I started to take a look at some, and I just look at them in a whole different light when you do it that way. It's just not
yeah,
as
yeah,
much fun. I
yeah.
don't know.
But
It's
especially the graded ones. So if you have a graded one, you're looking somebody's showing a graded one on YouTube or eBay or whatever. It's let's say it's a 5. So the first thing you do is you're kind of looking at this. Is it off center? Is it the corners?
right.
Everything is scrutinized. Everything is scrutinized. But if you're looking at your raw cards you've had for years, you don't look at them that way whatsoever. You just don't. I don't.
Yeah, that's true. I don't. I don't know if
Yeah.
other people do, but I don't. You're right. I
Yeah.
just
So I mean, I'm
I'm
having
so glad
fun
to have
dipping
the
cards.
card.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really having a good time getting these cards in the binders, and they're in the old top loaders. They're all, you know, ugly looking things, all just, you know, terrible looking. And so that's my goal.
All
Make a
right,
list.
when you go to the National, you have that backpack. What do you keep in that thing? Do you bring card holders, or you just take them home the way they are? Bring any protection for the plane or anything? What do you
You
have in
know,
that backpack?
uh, I used to do like top lists, but most of the cards I buy, you see what I have. Like we put them that one time, we put all our cards on the bed, that one night or that morning. And there was none of them were raw. They're all pre-war graded cards. So, but this year I probably will bring some supplies just because of the ones I need, what kind of is a pisser. And I don't remember why. It's the more expensive ones like the mantles. I need some years of mantles, some years of Clemente. Um, I have all the Giants, the Mays, but it tends to be a little more expensive card. Yogi Berra, I have a few years I'm missing. So those are going to
Yeah,
be.
the only player runs I'm missing from 53 on is I never got a 1963 Mays or Aaron. And it was simply because I just didn't they weren't my favorite cards of theirs
Yeah,
ever.
yeah,
And I wanted to get all the other ones first because I like those first. So those are the last two Hall of Famers I need for that entire run. I have every rookie card from that run. No, I take that back. In 53, I need the Jim Gilliam.
okay.
That's the one that has eluded me. It's always been a bit of a pricey card and never really wanted to pay that for it because you got
Yeah,
to pay around $300 for a decent looking one.
yeah. So
But I'm gonna have to break down because I have all the other big cards in that set, and I could complete that set easily if I
yeah,
put some focus to it.
yeah. You got to write down your thing, man. So there's some sets I have. I need like 10 cards, 15 cards, maybe a high number. And I'm just too lazy to write down to go to the look for them. You're even on eBay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's stupid because I should just finish the set, but it's just stupid. But it doesn't interest. I mean, I don't know. It just,
Once in a while, I'll get on a kick. Like I back in the early 2000s, I actually had a computer program that had every single card I owned in it. Um, it had everything checklisted, and I could generate these reports of
yeah, yeah,
what cards I needed. And before that, I would use index cards, and I have an index card box, and I still have it with some of the sets I was working on, and I would write the numbers that I needed on an index card, and then just scratch them off as I went. The computer program was phenomenal. I think it was called Card Collector 2, I think was the one I had. I spent weeks, Rick. I put every card I had in there. And I have a lot of cards. Weeks. It was like a week's worth of a
yeah.
project after work on the weekends. And my computer crashed and I lost it all.
Oh,
because I didn't have any backup, and it was one of those discs in the old days where you had to have the disc in the computer in order to use the program. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I was so mad. Like I had the files backed up, but I can't remember how it worked. But I needed that. I can't remember how it worked, but I lost it all, and I was so frustrated. I never wanted to do it ever again. But I still have those index cards and some of the printouts. So uh, about a year ago, I went through and I completed two sets. I
Okay.
went through my checklist. I only needed like a handful of cards, and I just, went onto eBay. And
Yeah,
one
yeah.
night, just back to back to back, they're all like $2 cards, and I
Sure.
picked the ones I wanted, and I knocked them out. It's a lot of fun to do that, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I don't know, I have a dilemma. So I've had this Ted Williams for a while, okay?
Yeah.
57, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I put it in this, your Mag Pro advertisement for Mag Pro. It's fantastic. But do I keep it in here? Do I stick it in the binder?
So what I do, if I only have a few graded cards, like a lot of times I'll have the set, but I had or bought the rookie cards graded. So what I do is I get those PSA graded pages. Now
Okay.
they say they don't fit SGC, but they do. They're just really tight. So they fit the Mag Pros very well, and they fit the PSAs perfectly. So I will, let's say I have 8 graded cards, and the rest of the set's in the binder. I just take 2 of those pages and put the 4 graded ones
Oh,
in the front.
in the front. Okay,
Yeah,
that's a good idea because I don't want to really separate them. It kind of defeats you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, and for me, they don't have to be. I love having them in numerical order, and so when I put my binder pages together, you leave the openings for the ones you don't have.
mhm.
What a lot of people will do is they'll just print a picture of the card if they have it graded. They'll print a little picture
Oh,
and put it in the sleeve so
yeah,
that when
yeah.
they're looking through, they could still see that's where that card goes. In the old days, I used to put an index card or the I'd take a business card of mine and write on it, this is where my Pete Rose rookie is or whatever, so that as I was looking through my
Yeah,
cards,
yeah.
I knew I didn't need that one
That's a good
because it
idea.
was a graded one in the front.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
also take like an 8 by 10 page and I put a wrapper. I put a wrapper at the front. So mine usually have a wrapper and then followed by the graded pages. And I usually put the rookies there. And maybe like if there's a card that's really exceptional or like stands out, like let's say you're doing an 89 Fleer,
Mhm.
most people would probably put the Cal Ripken F face out there along with the rookies, maybe because
Okay.
that was like the most famous card from that set, something along those lines. And it presents really well. It's fun to look through them that way. And you
Yeah.
don't have to go digging in the back for like the hot rookie cards or the big cards you want to see. They're right there in the front. I actually started putting a lot of second year players in the front as well. And now the other thing you can do, you don't need those PSA pages. The regular 4 pockets will hold those too. You
Oh,
just
really?
have to be a little careful. If you tilt it, they might slide out.
Oh, okay.
Or
I
you,
do have those. I didn't. That's pretty smart. I'll probably do that and
yeah,
put a little tape or something or whatever
yeah,
to hold
you
it.
could put tape, but they hold them pretty well. You don't necessarily have to
Okay.
put tape as long as you don't tilt them. And those 4 pocket pages also hold the card saver ones perfectly, and they stay in there real nice.
Okay.
The card saver ones because they fill them up really nicely. I've found. So I'll do that, and I'll do that with like second year cards.
Okay.
So for instance, in the '83 binder, I'm going to have Ryan Sandberg and Boggs and Tony Gwynn, for instance, um, and Willie McGee. And then in '84, I might have those players again because I like to have the second year cards too, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
And so those are a little bit more special in the sets to me. So I'll have the rookies from '84, and then I'll have the second year cards of those guys. I'll do something along those lines too.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty smart. That's probably what I'm gonna end up doing. I have here. It's kind of interesting. I mean, this is what a card is supposed to look like right here. It's hard to tell. It's creased. The corners are dinged and everything else, right? So, but I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. You know what I mean? That's what I,
Well, I'm the same way, man. I have a 33. I picked up a 33 Gaudy Babe Ruth. I always wanted the card. It has some creases. I don't care. I love it. It
Yeah.
doesn't, stuff like that. And we kind of got into the situation where we have third world problems where, oh my God, if you tilt it this way, come here. If you tilt it this way,
Yeah,
let me
yeah,
shine a
yeah.
light. Let me get a magnifier. You see that little crease? Nah, I gotta upgrade it. I hate it. I hate it. It bothers me.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
like third world problems, or I'm sorry, first world problems.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
First world problems. I'm thrilled to have any Babe Ruth. I don't want something that's like ripped in half. I don't want something where his face is scratched out.
Yeah, yeah.
Stuff like that. But if it presents well, I ain't looking and scrutinizing every little tiny detail and corner on it. I'm just not. I'm looking at it and I'm just feeling nothing but love, Rick. Nothing but love.
Yeah. Just to smell those cards, man. I was getting high the other day, smelling this. I even had my wife there. I'm on the kitchen table. Hey, just smell this card. What do you think?
Hey, do any of them still? Can you still smell the gum on any of them?
No, no.
Yeah, I can't either on my old ones. And really, some of the like it would have to be one that was against the gum, I think, to be
Sure.
have any chance of smelling that. The only cards I do smell the food product is the night, and I say it all the time. The 1950 Drakes, the oatmeal cakes. Those came in, I believe, two different types of cakes, and the ones I believe are the oatmeal that I smell. They have a very distinctive smell to them, and it's only like some of them do, some of them don't. So I think it was the oatmeal ones, but it just blows my mind that I could still smell them after all these years.
Yeah, yeah. And what do you do? So I have like four or five, like 64, uh, like Harmon Killebrews. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But I have them all. You just put them in a binder, or you separate them, put all in the same binder, or you do something, or trade them, or what do you? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Just
that
put them
that's up
together.
that's up to you. If it was Clemente, I'd have all four of them together
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
myself. Especially if they were not in great condition and you weren't going to get anything for them. If I'm going to sell a Clemente card for $20, I'm going to keep it. Like, there's no way.
Sure,
I
sure.
mean, if it's $1,000 and I have four, and I could get $1,000 for one or two of them, yeah, sure, I'd probably sell it.
Yeah,
But if I'm going to get $20 for a card I love, hell no. What do I need the $20 for? You know?
yeah, yeah. So, but I'm not putting, you know, uh, a Johnny Ray card or something in the box. It's just going to be Hall of Famers and Giants, in the binders
Yeah.
each year. Just
Why you always got to talk smack on my Johnny Ray? You
uh,
know I have his game used back behind me right here.
but it's fun to even look at some of those, the play. Some of the Giants I've never even heard of before. Who's this guy? 1964, somebody that I've never even, that guy was on the team, or I look in the back, and
The thing is, if you watch, like I just posted a This Week in Baseball from I think it was 81 or 82, somewhere in there.
yeah, 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 yeah,
And if you watch those highlights, I mean, the plays you see some guys make that you haven't heard of, or they're bragging about the year a pitcher's having, and you don't remember them. So when you go back to like the 50s and 60s, if you go on YouTube and you watch a game, like I'll have these cards and they're just what people call commons, and you don't pay much mind. And then
hmm
you're watching a game and they look good, you know? They just didn't have a long career or whatever, but
yeah, yeah,
within the year that card came out, or several year period, they were a good player. And it's a real education to go back and watch some of these guys.
yeah, yeah. And then they talked. So there was a guy. I don't remember his name. He's like 64 home runs, Nashville AAA. He set the record for that league, the whatever, the Southern League or whatever. 64 home runs in 150 games or something like that.
Yeah,
Didn't make it
insane.
in the majors, but it's crazy.
Yeah, there's a guy that hit 70 some. What was his name? And he never played in the majors. Baummaster or something. Bauman, the
Mhm.
guy that holds the minor league record. He had a lot. Dick Stewart hit 66 in, I believe it was the Western League, one of those leagues.
Yeah, yeah,
66 in a season. Just insane. But yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because I was just recently reading the backs of some old vintage cards, and for the young players, they're bragging about what they did in the minors,
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah,
they don't have much else to talk about. So they brag about what they did in the minors, and then they're like, they have a real bright future,
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
thing. And it's funny to read that because a lot of them are players, that most people don't know.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's yeah, it's I've been I'm trying to put it together, spending all this time, but I want to turn the card over, and then I'll look him up on Google. Whatever happened to this guy? Did he, whatever, what
Yeah,
did he pass away or that type of thing? What did he do
yeah,
after he? It's just fun. I mean, it just brings you back. You get kind of not you, but me. I just get you watch all these YouTube, you just get set into the grades. You don't look at the back. You kind of, just kind of, it's just fun to go through. Let me see if I'm going to see if I can find this player I'm talking about, this giant player.
yeah.
It is,
While you do that, I just want to say this: one of my hobbies, and it's so much fun. And as a YouTube creator, to make videos, I learn about these things, and then I could share them on my channel too, and share them with everybody else what I learned. But I'll be looking through some cards, and I'll see a guy, and I don't know his name, and
okay.
so I'll be like, well, let me go find out about him. So I'll look him up, in Saber or Wikipedia. I'll see if I can find any games or footage or interviews on YouTube. And that's the wonderful thing about YouTube is we have access to seeing a lot of this stuff,
Yeah.
and I'll learn about them, you know. Um, or somebody will give me a card, and I was not familiar with the play, so I'll go do that. I've had people comment on my videos, "Hey, do you have any Howard Chris cards?" And I'll be like, "No, I don't know Howard Chris or whatever." And
Hmm.
he'll be like, "Well, that's my grandfather, or that's my great grandfather." And I'll be like, "He's like, can you show anything?" And I'm like, "Oh wow, well let me go look," And then I'll end up with a card of somebody I never knew. Like I'll pick one up because if you never heard of them, they're going to be reasonably priced, right? You're not going to have to pay a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'll learn about them. And in some cases, they had, a heck of a stretch of several years where they were really solid. Like a guy like Harry Brescian, for example. Look up, his stats and stuff. Very solid, but I would venture to say most collectors don't even know him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just bring like this guy. I'm just throwing out there, Wendy McCall. Wendy
Windy,
McCall.
nice.
What I
Yeah,
mean?
I've seen. Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
And I'm thinking, God, I don't know Wendy McCall. So I look on the back here, and it has a little cartoon. And tells a little bit about him. At Louisville, he did this, that, and everything else. So it's just kind of it's fun to.
Oh yeah, I do some shorts where I'll read the backs of cards, and it's awesome. That is a lost art. I always found it. I have a lot of respect for Tops, and I always found it interesting that even though they were marketing their products to little kids, they wrote those backs, for anybody to read. Like it's like adult material.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean? It's
yes,
not. It's not written like just to satisfy some kid. Like they seem to have put a lot of thought into it. And what's funny is when they don't have really anything great to say about somebody, the kind of thing they have to make up about them, is
yeah,
like, well, they have a lot of promise. Even though they've struggled last season, they still have a lot of promise.
it has here. As a youngster, Wendy was troubled with wildness and his clang off the guy's head. You know.
I mean, it's classic stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's funny, but I mean, lots of fun.
What's
I could
that one?
spend
Isn't there
hours.
a card that has Mickey Mantle like drinking on the back?
Yeah, there was a. I don't know if I did a video. Somebody did a video with the backs of cards, and they're some are racist, and whatever. Just kind of the old
Yeah.
what they used to talk, how they used to talk. Here's a here's a beauty. Look at the corners are all screwed up, and
Awesome.
I
Do you
mean,
know I have a whole box. It's almost like a secondary collection of like my most beat cards from my childhood, and I cannot part with them. The thing is nobody, people aren't going to pay anything for them, so they have no trade value or anything like that. And I there's no way in hell I'm throwing them away.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I keep them as kind of a secondary collection, and I love looking through them, man. I just love it. And in many ways, I enjoy those cards more in many ways
Oh,
because you don't
exactly.
have to stress about them.
No, not at all. I mean, I'm not gonna. I have it graded. I have one that's graded. I don't know if it's a 2 or 3 that year of him, Ted Williams, but I'm never gonna part with that. I'd probably rather have that one, this beater that I've had forever, than a 2 or 3 that look, because I bought it. I mean, this one I collected as a kid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it means something to me more than one I just bought off eBay or something like that. I don't know.
I will see a video of somebody, and you see a lot of them, and somebody wanted a card, a big card, a card that costs a lot of money nowadays, and they wanted it their whole life and dreamed about having it, and they'll get it, and it'll be a one, and it'll be beat, and they're just so happy to have it, and I just love that, like because that's how I collect. That's how I am. Like I don't need to scrutinize everything. I don't need it to look like it came out of a pack. I'm just so happy to have a nice
Yeah,
example of a
yeah.
card where I can see everything. You know?
You know what's sad is I don't know when I got this card. Is that something that would happen to you or no?
Yeah, I have some
Let's
cards
say
that
30
I
years
have.
ago, 30,
Yeah,
40 years ago, or whatever.
yeah, I have cards like that where I have no recollection of getting them. I was just looking through my 52 tops, and I stumbled on a Monty Irvin signed card uh, in a slab, and you would think I would remember getting it, but I don't. And I was like, when the heck did I get this? But there are cards from my childhood where I can remember exactly
Yeah,
where I
yeah,
was when I got it, around the time, sometimes who I got it from.
yeah, yeah,
And so I have both. I have both. You know, a lot of times when you get hot and heavy and you're on eBay and you're buying all these cards and you're getting 20 packages every week, it's easy to forget,
sure.
exactly when you got it or whatever. And so I do fall into that. But the ones I do remember getting are just, I mean, they
Well,
every
especially
every
probably
time I look at them, they bring
especially
back a memory.
pirates, right? I'm sure, like the
Yeah,
giant. I remember Mays or McCovey or where I got those, but it's just interesting.
right. Yeah, it's like I tell the story of the 59 Maz. I was at my flea market and I could still picture it and I could picture where everything was and walking around and looking at these tables. And I remember there was a table on the second tier up near where they sold the funnel cakes. And this guy had some cards and he had a 59 Maz sitting there. And of course, being in Pittsburgh, uh, Maz is sold for a lot more than they would elsewhere. And he wanted $7 for this. And back then, most of those types of cards were selling for around 3 or 4. And I remember seven just seemed high. I could get a Hank Aaron for a seven, but it was Maz in Pittsburgh. And I looked at it for several weeks until I finally scrounged up the money and sucked it up and paid the $7. And I remember exactly where I was when I got it
Yeah,
and around the time. And so every time I look at that card, it's special to me.
yeah, yeah. And I would have no issue trading when I was a kid a Ted Williams card for a giant card. I,
Yeah.
I didn't even think, that I didn't even thought that way. Just the way my
I had a
mind.
hard time trading any card I didn't have doubles of. I
Yeah,
always, my whole life, had a hard time trading anything I didn't have doubles of. So I would keep doubles for trade bait,
mhm.
and I would keep doubles for flipping because I never wanted to do it with I never wanted to not have a card, and I didn't want to put my cards at risk like
Yeah,
that. And fortunately, I bought enough cards that I had doubles, lots of doubles.
yeah,
For instance, in 1980, I opened 79 was I opened a lot of packs in 78. 79, I'm going to get back to the 1980 in a second. In 1979, I didn't buy packs early on. And I went down to my friend's house, and all my friends were gathered around, and they all had a big box of their 79 cards. And I didn't have any yet. And I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. I can't let this happen. Because cards were better than money when you were a kid back then. So I went on a
yeah,
rampage
yeah,
and I ended up putting the whole set together in 79. 78, I had a near set. 79, put the whole set together. So 1980 rolls around and I'm buying packs hot and heavy. And, years later, because the Ricky Henderson rookie card was not a chase card. At least I don't remember it being ever a chase
yeah.
card for me and my friends in 1980. I remember it being a chase card a little bit later where we went back. We were going back to see if we had it. And when I went back to see if I had it, I had 9 of them. I had 9 I had pulled out of packs. That card was not hard to come by.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. I was showing you all my 78 Mike Schmidts. You know, that, you know, I have a ton,
Yeah.
a stack of 78 Mike Schmidt. I mean, it's funny. I was telling you, man, maybe the junk wax started in 78.
Well,
Non-stop.
I mean, so let's talk about this. The term vintage, right? Because it's a generic term, or I shouldn't say generic, it's a term that is used for things, right? When you say vintage, you think old. But vintage was not used just for any old card, to say, oh, well, 1990 is a long time ago, it's vintage. It was used for a specific era of cards, just like pre-war. It's pre-World War II. It's not pre-World War One. It's not pre the Persian Gulf War. It's pre-war means pre-World War II. Vintage always meant from that period up to 1978. That was the vintage period. It doesn't mean that a 1990 card isn't vintage, but vintage was a term used for a specific era of cards, just like ultra modern is used for a specific era of cards. Do you disagree or agree with that?
Oh, I agree with it. I remember we had an argument about something about, I was saying pre-war is pre-war, vintage in 19, it's not called vintage in 1920, it's called pre-war in 1920.
Right. So, even though it's vintage, it's a term to describe an era.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and that era in the old days was always it ended in 78. Because I remember I didn't agree with that because I wanted it to go through 1980. I thought 1980 made more sense. That was the last year Topps was on its own. It was the last, Ricky Henderson, Pepino Man always talks about it. Ricky Henderson was the last true rookie card where there was only one to chase. Yeah.
So I'm looking at some of the comments here to see if James DeWinn's in here, Peter B, Mike, person, Ben Washington, I don't recognize that person, Henry, let's see who else is, Lou Rock's in the chat.
Lou Rock.
Rock.
Henry's funny. I get a kick out of Henry.
Yeah. Let's see here. So let's see. Questions. Rick, any more cards for sale ahead of the National this year? No, not right now. And Lou Rock says, I'm looking on the Misfit channel. Let's see here.
I'm surprised Lou knows there is a Misfit channel.
I know, huh? Hello, Mr. Mangini. Scott Burke says that.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us. Sports Cards. Hey, guys from Louisiana. Love the channels. Everyone just kind of talking to, somebody, Jacob Dahl says, I want a nice T205 Frank home run Baker and hope it is nice but lower in condition. That's a great card.
Nice card. I got that in I think around 1990 I got one. It is by far nowhere near perfect, and I love it.
And then somebody says, John, do you remember Brad Aldred, a.k.a. Big Country?
Brad Aldred.
No. A-L-D-R-E-D, a.k.a. Big Country. I remember Big Country, the basketball player. That big white stiff that played for about 10 years, 20 years. I don't remember his name, but Big Country was.
I don't. He stumped me.
Let's see here. Yeah, nothing. No one has any good. They're still talking about last National. That's Henry. We're not talking about last National. Is this National talk or two guys talking about get off my lawn, Clemente Collector?
We're not get off my lawn.
We can go back to the National too. So I know I said at the very beginning of that somebody's checking in that I think this year I'm going to have a list. of cards I need to build my Hall of Fame run for different years. Uh, but I'm always going to be looking for the rarity, a card that I don't have in my set. And John, pretty much, he's the president now, so I'll say, John, John's always on, Rick, come over here, meet this guy, or this guy's got, look at this guy's collection. And I said, John, you haven't even left this spot in, an hour because everyone's talking to you. You're telling me, I haven't even looked at, I haven't even been over there yet. This is kind of funny how it's more talking to people than actually, and I'm the one more focused, put it that way.
I know you're focused, and you snuck you snuck two great cards from me that I would have probably bought if I ran into them first. But I was talking to people. I could honestly say last year, I probably shopped for cards about 10% of the time. Like, that's it. I took like an hour and went around and I bought a few things. And then I really wasn't even shopping. I was walking the aisles. I was walking with people. I was talking to people. And I went back towards the end of the show and shopped a little bit again. And one of my purchases, I actually picked up the last minutes as I was leaving the convention center. I picked up 51 Wheaties, Stan Musial. It was just sitting there and it was a good price. And I had wanted one. So it's kind of funny how that works out. I didn't see it the whole show, but in the last minutes as they're closing and I'm walking out, I see it.
I know in Cleveland, you text anyone, hey, meet me at the bar. I'm at the bar. And I'm thinking, the first thing I thought was the bar. We left then because it was the end of the day. And I'm thinking, what's he doing at that bar that we drove to that after the, but there actually was a bar in the show, the Cleveland. So you're sitting there shooting the bull with everyone in Cleveland, and
yeah, there was a guy I met and he has a radio show up in Canada. And we were talking for the longest time. So I'm like, come on, I'll buy you a drink. And the bar was actually open. I couldn't believe it. Like, it was the first time I had seen it open. That's why I was texting everybody, guys, there's openings. Come over here so we can sit down, because I was exhausted from walking for 4 days in a row. I was like, come sit down. And nobody was coming. I felt like we were wasting the open seats.
Yeah.
Because that never happened.
And then the first day
it was right in the middle of the floor.
You got to come over here. You got to look at this guy's collection. So we go behind the PSA thing with Filmington, and we're looking at friggin'
fire.
This guy's got $1 million cards.
This guy is walking around with $1 million worth of cards, and we're back there looking like we're doing a drug deal behind the curtain.
Yeah. PSA 8 Gaudi cards and Roots, and this. He doesn't even have them like, I don't even think they were like plastic sleeves on them or anything. It's just like you just have them in a backpack or something.
No, he had like a Cracker Jack Ty Cobbin, an 7 or 8, and every card was like that. Everything was like everybody's dream cards in a high number. They had to be worth a fortune. And he's just walking around, and I'm busting his chops. I'm like, dude, you got to get these in sleeves. Yeah. Everybody's looking through them and scratching up the slabs. And I'm like, no. I'm come over here. I'm buying you some sleeves. You got to put some sleeves over these things because it's stressing me out.
Oh shit! But that's half
and then
the
I
fun.
go outside, and he's just standing there with this lunch bag, and I'm like, oh my god! I'm like, this dude's gonna get mugged or something. I was so stressed out just looking at him.
Would he have him like it? What was it? Was that an old something? It was an old. He carried him like you say, like a lunch.
It was like a lunch bag,
Yeah.
And he had it like around his shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just. I'm like, is this real or am I dreaming this? It was so surreal.
But it's funny. Come over, Rick. We're gonna go behind the PSA.
We're like heads on a swivel.
Yeah. But he wasn't even like, I'd be if like I'm these guys I don't even know. There's 3 of us. We each have cards. We're looking at. He's not even like stare. He's like
no, he didn't even care. I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome of him to share them and so forth. But I was a nervous wreck. That's one of my pet peeves when I go to the National or buy cards anywhere. you'll buy $1,000 card and the dealer doesn't even have it in a sleeve.
Yeah.
And so you have all these cards at the National that you have to travel with, and they could get scratched up the slabs, and then your only option is to crack them out or send for a new slab. Like, why don't you have a 1 cent sleeve over these things? Or the other thing is when they put the sticker right on the slab,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
some of them are hard to get off, and you're spending
Sure.
10 minutes trying to scratch this damn thing off. It's like, put it on the sleeve.
Well,
I
we have
never
a
understand how you could sell big cards with just a raw slab to get all scratched up.
now we have a misfit in our buddy, a misfit that sells cards, and he doesn't sleeve anything.
Is that right?
Yeah, I'm not mentioning names though.
Well, whoever that is, they should sleeve them.
Yeah.
Those things are like a penny a piece if you buy them in bulk.
Exactly.
I sleeve every card because I never
Yeah,
want to, have to mess with the holder. It drives me crazy. They slab up all these cards with lint and freaking hair inside and stuff. It just blows my mind. I must have cracked 5 or 6 cards in recent weeks. Just drives me insane.
Let's see if anyone. Lou's laughing at it. Oh, Lou goes, I'm guessing it's Dawn. He's laughing about the sleeves. I'm not saying anything.
I that's not even who I thought you were talking about, so that's funny.
Remember, we were giving him a bad time, man. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, but George had sleeves for everybody. He had sleeves for everything, and he's passing them out.
I think somebody, I don't know if it's you or George, go, here, Don, sleeve these damn things up, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice to have those kinds of things at the National handy, so you don't always have to buy them. I was having a hard time. I bought some oversized cards, and I was having a hard time finding any sleeves to protect them because those really get scratched up just because of their size. So it is nice to carry, those sleeves if you can get them, if you have them. Superior Fit Innovations, mentioning sleeves, there's something going on with the Canadian Post Office, and it's been going on. There's like threats of strikes, and so they are on hold right now until they figure out the post office situation. So you can't buy anything right now. I went to reorder some things. I don't know if you order from them or not.
No, I need to buy those Mag Pros. Which ones do you get for Mag Pros this week?
Superior Fit Innovations. That's the one. Yeah, that's the one they're not selling right now. Now, you could use PSA ones, but they're a little big. They're not, not nearly perfect fit. But if you just want to protect them, they look better than the universal ones. I used to, when I first started collecting, that's all I ever saw were the universal ones. I didn't know they made perfect fit. So when I first came on YouTube to make videos, I'm showing all my cards, and I didn't realize until after I started using the perfect fit how awful those things look. And somebody commented, hey, you need to get some perfect fit sleeves on those beauties. And I didn't know what the heck they were talking about. I'm like, perfect fit sleeves. And so I went and started asking around and looking online, and I found them. And then I knew what they were talking about. Once I started using those, it changed my life. Because not only do they fit perfectly, but they're crystal clear. A lot of those baggies, they dull the card. They don't look nice. All you're doing is you're protecting this stupid holder. You know what I mean? Now the Mag Pros, I don't know if they're going to scratch or not. I've messed around with just leaving some without sleeves to see if they will. Like because the thing about Mag Pros is if they do scratch, all you have to do is put it in another Mag Pro. You don't have to send it to California and wait 6 months to get it back and pay somebody for a new holder. So it doesn't really matter if it gets scratched like a graded card slab does.
Yeah, I hear you. So what do you think of Chicago? I mean, you've been to Chicago once or twice?
Just last year with you.
Okay.
Yeah. I think, to be honest, I think it's a great venue because especially when you stay where we stay right there, all the hotels are there, all the restaurants are there. We walk to and from the convention center anytime we want. We never have to get in a car. So, unless you want to go downtown and enjoy the whole city, if you're just there like you and me for the for the show, and we that's all we do all day and night.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a great venue because you never have to leave a few block area.
Sure.
So I enjoy that about that show.
Yeah. You see more people actually on the street,
Yeah,
sidewalk, the restaurants than you do in the show that you recognize.
yeah,
Because at
and
the
they'll be
show
like,
itself, there's different rooms. Remember, there's that one big room, then you go over there, there's another room
yeah,
and a third
lots of
room.
rooms. Yeah, lots of rooms.
Hard to.
And the other thing is you'll like run into people on the street when you're walking back, and they'll be like, "Oh, hey, we're meeting some YouTubers
Yeah.
at this bar in my hotel," and you're passing that hotel on your way, and so you just go in there. It's so easy to meet and mingle with people
Yeah.
at Chicago. Really is.
Yeah. Yeah. So
All
I'm
right,
looking.
Rick. I know you need to go, don't you?
Yeah, I should go 5 minutes or so. Anything else I'm looking here at the comments, see who's making fun of us being old.
That's
uh,
all they got, Rick. We're too cool to pick on us for anything else. All they
uh,
got's our age.
James Nguyen, let's see, Lou Rock says, I'm down for an open bar.
Me too. If somebody else is paying.
Clemente Collector says, haha, just busting chops. This is real treat, guys. He does like a lot. He busts our chops all the time, man.
I know. Thank you, Theo. I bust his chops too. We have a good time. We have a good time. I got to walk the floor with Theo last year.
Oh yeah, Theo. I know. I think the first year I met him was in Chicago, and he had a nice bottle of something. I don't know if it was Fireball or something like that.
No, I don't remember that.
At the restaurant there at Lowell's, big old bottle. He goes, yeah, you want some? He was sitting in a corner there.
Well, you know us Pittsburgh guys, we bring our own. We don't leave it to chance.
See if he remembers that. That's a fun time, man. That Lowell's at night, where we're shooting a bull. Everyone comes in and out.
My favorite, Rick, I just get the biggest kick out of watching you walk around with all the real young guys at trade night.
Yeah.
I don't know, like it's all these really young people trading ultra modern, and you walking through is kind of like an oxymoron. It just or an anomaly. It just doesn't fit. But you're up all night at those trade nights, all night.
Remember we saw that one guy. He had a lot of vintage at one time, and we were looking through his Pelican case, and he had a lot of vintage and stuff. I don't know.
There was one guy
They're
in
all
Atlantic City, and he had nothing but vintage. I got a Tris speaker. I remember I got a Tris speaker a strip card from him. PSA, I can't remember what the grade was, but it was holdered, and I got it for like $120 from him. It was like the end of the night. He wasn't selling anything. I think he just wanted to move something. I thought that was a steal.
Sammy Thunder. I'm looking forward to seeing Rick boxing out Mangini for rent cards like Dennis Rodman. I do that, huh? I'll go.
You definitely do that.
Out, And you're asking how much. I'm asking.
You'll see a card before me, and you'll be like, you'll make sure I don't see it.
Yeah.
And then I see you reaching for your money, and I'm like, what are you buying? And you're like, this one, and I'm like, I just told you I was looking for that, and you're buying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. But I guess this is our first episode for the National. I'm sure we'll have a few more Misfit.
Yeah, it's a little early, Rick, but I'm starting to get excited. I just booked everything, so I'm starting to get excited for it. It's not that far away now, and you and I had a good time last time. I thought we had a blast.
Yeah.
And we made our videos with the Muppet masks.
Yeah.
Everybody thought we were crazy.
Maybe I'll bring mine. I'll bring mine again. We can do something at one of those nights, And I wonder where. So hopefully Filmington still has one where we're staying at the Lowell's. There.
Yeah.
And then Mike, still has one.
I'll tell you, that's the only bad thing about that venue is when we were all trying to get together just to have a drink and talk, there's nowhere. Like, it's too overcrowded.
Yeah.
There aren't enough spaces for that.
Yeah.
we were all standing around against the wall in the bar. It's a small bar. And of course, when I was trying to, they had all that room and all those tables, but they wouldn't let us in there. So
Sure.
I had to steal one. Well, I had to steal two tables. And that was a blast because we all got to sit around. But that's the only thing that's not really fun is having to fight for space so we could hang out and talk.
Yeah. Everyone clears out. We get there. I remember Filmington the first year goes, I go, Phil, what's going on? There's this place is small. There's people here eating. He says, well, when we all come, they're all going to leave. Trust me.
Oh, his party was fun last year. His party was fun. Everybody had their purchases,
Yeah.
showing them. Yeah. Good times, man. If you're into cards, it's like I remember the first one I went to with you guys in Atlantic City. I went to that trade night with James and Lou, and we were walking through the hotel, and it was just as far as you could see, guys on the floor trading cards, selling cards, and I'm like, holy cow! I had to take a video walking through the hotel, and I sent it back to my wife. I'm like, do you believe look at all these grown men taking over the hotel trading cards like we're little kids. It was just so much fun. And it was really for the very first time to see is something else.
How about in Chicago when Golden showed up at the end of the night with his female friend worker
Yeah,
and
Alex. Yeah,
taking
yeah, that was at
pictures.
Filmington's party.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And we pretty much closed that place down.
But anyway, so let's see. Any last thoughts here? No, nothing. It's kind of interesting how the chats in the old days, a couple of years ago, people would be more questions or whatever. Now everyone knows everyone, so
Yeah,
everyone just has their own conversation in the
right.
chat, and they don't even pay attention to what the hell we're saying or anyone's live. I mean, it's kind of
That's awesome, though. That's
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
community for them,
Everyone
for
knows
whoever's
everyone.
watching, or people that don't make videos. Yeah, that's awesome. I noticed that too in all the chats. It's
Yeah,
mostly people talking to each other. Of course, you and I have been on here so long and shown our cards and gave our ideas of collecting for so much. Like everybody knows it already.
yeah,
What's there left to ask?
yeah.
Hey,
And then
Rick,
they rip on you. It's kind of
right?
funny. Everyone knows everyone, so you just make fun of everyone in the chat or
Oh,
make
it's
fun of
nothing
us
but
old
yeah, it's nothing
people.
but chops busting.
Chops busting. And yeah,
So
I
Rick,
told you. I mean, I don't make as many videos anymore. I love this kind of interaction or the text messages and the live streams more than just making a video. I know.
yeah. Well,
I don't,
you run out of ideas too.
yeah,
You run out of things to show. I know for a fact because I felt the need to do this at one point. I know people buy cards just to be able to do a video. I think
yeah,
because it's easy to fall into that. And
sure,
there's nothing wrong with that. I've certainly done it.
yeah,
Not just to make a video. I shouldn't put it that way, but you're excited to get something, or you're targeting something to go with something else, so that you can make a really great video about it.
yeah,
Uh, I think I've done that. I bet everybody's done that at some point.
yeah, yeah.
But I
But,
appreciate you agreeing to jump on. I know it's not something you do often.
no, I don't even know how to do it. I mean, I would probably do it myself, but I have no idea. You have to teach me at the national. How do you actually go live? I have to rely on somebody I'll go, hey, you guys want to go live?
Well,
And
you can do it
yeah,
straight from YouTube. However, you really need to be on a computer to do it that way and not your phone, because it's the questions come up and then disappear. And if it's a longer
okay,
one, you don't even have time to read it. And they just like pop up. And I don't think you can get a guest. I have not been able to figure out how to get a guest that way. There has to be a way, but I don't know it. So you
okay.
just need a
Maybe you could show
StreamYard
me.
account. You need a
Maybe
StreamYard
you could.
account. It's free
Okay, I
and it's
have that.
easy. It's
Okay,
easy. You just link your channel to it.
but
And
you have
what
to
you
show
do
me.
when you log in, you can either do a recording or go live, and it'll say create. You say
Okay,
create, and do you want to go live or do a recording? You say live, and they'll email you once you log in a one-time code. Go to your
okay,
email, put that code in, and that's it. You put your name in there, name the thing, go in, go backstage, and once you're backstage, you can copy the code to send to people.
Okay.
It'll say invite guests. It's easy once you get used to it.
Okay. There you
But
go.
anyway, I'll show you.
Okay, you show me. Teach me, man. You got to teach me all these tricks.
All right, man. Hey,
All right.
thanks
Hey,
everybody
thanks,
for
man.
tuning
I
in.
had a ball.
Me too, Rick. This is
All
fun.
right.
Thanks.
All
All
right,
right,
man.
thanks
Thanks,
everybody.
everyone. Thanks for putting up with us. All right. Take care.